Hello, everyone. So we are here with the first episode in our GDPI interview series with one of my previous students, Raghavendra, and he is currently studying in IIM Ahmedabad, and he was last year our student in the GDPI course, and he has converted a lot of calls. But I think it would be better if we'll hear the experience from the Raghavendra himself. And he was also in my verbal program, and when he joined me, he was at something 40 percentile, if I'm not Raghavendra, and cleared the CAT attempt and cleared the cutoff with the 74.7 percentile. His photograph is always there on the Facebook groups group photo. So you can always check him, check his score and get in touch with him. So without wasting any much time, so how is your experience at IIM Ahmedabad so far, Raghavendra?
Good evening, ma'am, and thank you so much for having me here. And starting with the attempt was not my very first CAT attempt. I had attempted CAT prior to that. So maybe in my past two attempts, I was very good with the other two, but then I was struggling with verbal section especially. So that is when I got to know about EBA from some of my friends. And like the feedback which I got from them was, something very unique. So that is the reason I have joined EBA. And as you rightly said, even in my past two attempts, I was not able to cross 50 percentile or even not more than 45 for that matter in verbal section, especially. So then later on in my last attempt, I was able to score somewhere around 74 percentile in verbal, and overall I was able to clear all the cutoffs and get most of the calls. So talking about the verbal preparation first, I did, I followed so many channels which are available, and I, uh, uh, tried other institutes, but then I was someone who, seek attention to learn things. Maybe that is one thing where EBA was very helpful. The thing is, I used to be able to share what I studied, what help I actually needed from my mentors every day. So that is one thing. And the other thing why my verbal was very weak is I am someone who don't really enjoy reading novels or newspaper time. So that is one thing. But the very first session in which I have attended BA, the most stress was around why you actually need to improve your verbal ability, not just to that, but then the after journey, even in your MBA or after that. So that was the biggest turning point. And after that, already Akanksha ma'am, so I did whatever she said. I used to give feedback every day, and I used to get proper response for that. So that is how I was able to write from grammar to actually reading comprehension and all the stuff. And once I was confident about this verbal part, then again I have joined EBA for my GDPI preparation, because CAT is more about, of course it is about your abilities and all, but it's more about how your mentors try to build confidence in you. That is something which I have found very unique about EBA. So that is the reason I have joined EBA for my GD preparation as well. And Akanksha ma'am and Kaushal sir, Meghana ma'am, they were able to guide me throughout, and I was able to clear almost all of my calls which I had. And one luxury which I have enjoyed at EBA was I remember, even I think half an hour before entering the CAT examination hall, I think I texted, I'm feeling so nervous and all, but then I got a reply from my mentor. So that was the confidence booster for me before entering the examination hall for CAT. And before every interview, I used to get a chance to talk to my mentors, and they never put a restriction on we are going to give you 2 interviews or 3 interviews. They try to ensure like we are fine-tuned before going for any interview. So these are the few things which I can highlight from my preparation.
That's good to know, and that's a proud mental face that you're seeing right now, even when I didn't ask you specifically to talk about EBA. So it's really good to hear that we could help you. So when you entered into IIM Ahmedabad, so did it meet your expectations? So how has been your journey so far? I know in the COVID you are doing it online, and it really gives the vibe that and the advantages that you get in the offline training, but still it is IIM Ahmedabad. So how has been your experience so far?
Ma'am, to start with, all these IIM ABC, like the students here are, they go through a rigorous process before coming here. So, first of all, you cannot relax after coming here. That is the first thing. You have, competitive people surrounding you all the time. So you have to be on your toes. And even before a class, they give you something to read and come to the class, and then they would try to from there. So that is the second thing. And there are small differences in the way each ABC follows, but then A is A, and people are very come from different background, very talented. So basically you need to be on your toes, so as to stay in competition. And actually, even to tackle your daily periods and all, you need to be on your toes and very alert. That is the first thing. There are small differences in the way ABC and follows academics. But having said that, people often say A in IMA stands for academics, so there is a lot of rigor around academics, especially in A. So I am actually enjoying this process, and the diversity which comes in here is also something. The different opinions which come during the class discussion are something very, very unique.
So the thing that we hear about generally in the MBA, that the peer learning is the most important learning there. So I think that's really true about Ahmedabad as well.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so when you were training, in your training period, when you were preparing for your GDPI processes, you also converted the call from IMK as well, right?
Yes.
So did you feel any kind of difference in their selection process, or how the questions were asked in the interview in both the cases? So, or they were judging you on almost the same parameters. So what was your take on both the interviews with the IIMs?
Okay. So ma'am, basically, I think at least both of these interviews try to see whether you are really interested in MBA or not. That is the first thing. And I'm not sure. The second thing might be they would see whether you would be able to cope up with the rigorous academic rigor which they have here. Those are the two things overall I could see. Other than that, IIM A and B interviews, they actually, at least in my case, both the interviews stretched up to 40 minutes, not less than that. But then IMK interview was around 15 minutes, or less than 20 minutes. And in case of IIM A and B, they tried to ask me so many things. They started with my work experience, because I had prior work experience. Then they asked me something very general, which I have studied standard, something around velocity, speed, acceleration, and all. Then they asked me some rates, and towards the end they asked me about the budget, what like my opinion on various things which were included in budget. In mostly in A and B interviews, this was the thing. And looking at my verbal percentile, maybe they asked me which newspapers do you read, so something around that also in A and B. But in case of K, I think they directly jumped into the main questions. They directly asked me, why do you want to do MBA? Whereas in case of A, they indirectly asked me. And it lasted for 15 minutes, as I said. And especially, at least for the GK, in case of IIM, they asked me, it was like a rapid fire round. They were asking me so many questions, and I think they were trying to judge me how many questions I will be able to answer of the 10. So it was more of a rapid fire round, and this A and B was more around an elaborate interview and giving time to think and answer. But in both the cases, they tried to know whether I'm really interested, and they tried to judge on my capabilities. Like none of them asked me about my academics, maybe because I have good work experience. But there are few IIMs which ask you around your academics, like BTech subjects or BCom subjects.
Yeah, that is a kind of pattern that we have seen so far in the interviews. Like if you have a good work ex, so the interview mostly revolves around your work ex. And if you are a fresher or have just about 1 year of work ex, then it is more inclined towards your academics.
Yes, ma'am. And regarding selection process, ABC, they have a written test round as well. But it is not a elimination round. It is just a a round before your interview, and mostly they give you one single statement, or they show you a picture and they ask you to write about it. But in case of K, there was no such written test round. So that is one
So it's
addition for
only
ABC.
the interview for the K.
Yes, ma'am. At least
And
last year it
in
was
case
so.
of, yes, and just to clarify once again, in the case of A and B, it was regarding a picture, not a one-line topic or written
Uh,
topic.
in case of A, it was a picture given and they asked me to comment. In case of B, there was a statement. If I could remember correctly, they asked me like the statement: do you think people's participation is required in taking opinion around the government policy making and all? So you can take any of the stand, but then you have to be structured throughout your argument, and you can take any stand, but then you should be consistent throughout and should be able to conclude in the same way.
All right. And how important are current affairs, or that we say that you should really be up to date when you're preparing for your GDPI processes? So how did you feel about that particular part while appearing for these interviews, basically, for all of them, for all the course that you converted last year?
Yes, ma'am. So, in my opinion, if you are able to read newspaper every day, I think you will be able to cover most of the general topics. But interview is something where you will be asked everything under the sky. So it is very much unpredictable. There were interviews, where I was going around my work experience, and there were interviews more. The focus was more around general discussion. In my case, I think my IIM A I A interview was more around electric vehicles only. They asked me completely about electric vehicles, what government is doing and all. That is more of current affairs thing. But in case of other interviews, it was completely around my work experience, what is the process, what I understood and all this stuff. But yeah, current affairs are important. In my opinion, you should focus more,
So
because that
no
is how I
mistake,
think they
actually,
will.
because yeah, that's a concern for a lot of students, that whether should we read, and that was their most common question for today as well. Ma'am, please push lena current affairs पढ़ने हैं कि नहीं?
Ma'am, definitely. I think because that will give you extra edge over others also, in case two members are performing in the same way. And then I'm not sure, but if they want to differentiate you in some way, then this would be definitely there. As I mentioned, I was asked 10 questions and I was not able to answer all 10. I was able to answer 6 or 7, but still I was able to convert IMK. So that is it.
Yeah. Another most common question that I get from students while they are in their preparation phase, that what if I'm not able to answer all the questions that they ask in interview? And something just you just mentioned about it. So what is your take about it? Like if they are asking me 15 questions, तो मुझे सारे के सारे आने चाहिए, and there is nothing like known that I can say, तो मेरा downfall हो जाएगा, and they're really scared and nervous about that part. So is it really important to answer all the questions that you're asked in an interview?
Ma'am, at least in my case, in none of the interviews, I was able to answer all the questions. I would say I was able to answer maybe 75 to 80% of the questions, if I am not wrong. But maybe like in my case, I used to apologize. I don't know. I will read about it at least in most of the cases. So that is how I used to handle. And more about when you don't know how you will actually handle it, that also comes into picture. Like when I said I read a newspaper, they asked me about tell me name of few editors. Then I don't remember any name of the editors of any newspaper. Then I said I don't remember, but then I said I can tell you about the articles which I have read instead of the editors. So maybe I was able to give an assurance. I actually read the editorial column, but I don't know name of the editors. So I don't think you need to answer 100% of the questions, but then how you handle the question is something very important.
And how much work experience exactly did you have at the time you actually went for all these interviews?
Uh, yes, ma'am. I'm a 2017 pass out from VNIT Nagpur, and after that, I have worked for almost 5 months with Sun Pharmaceuticals and 3.5 years with Bajaj Auto. So I had around 45 months of work experience. So completely in operations, but it was around 45 months.
Okay. And if I have to understand that approximately how much part of your interview was dedicated to your work experience? Like if we can get a percentage approximately, like 10% of your interview or 20% of your interview, would be helpful for the people to know that how much they need to prepare for their journey.
Okay. Basically, ma'am, in my case, I think most of my interviews were around work experience, because even if the question starts like what are your achievements, if they ask me tell me about yourself, then definitely I'd be mentioning about work experience, where I would be stressing that I have this much work experience. Then the interviewer will definitely switch to that part. And if you have more than 2 years of work experience, you can expect more questions, because in 1 year or 2 years, I don't able to ask more questions. But then if you have more than 2 years, then you should definitely focus more around your work experience. In my case, it was 4 years. Most of my interviews were around work experience, but there was only one interview where they have asked me about my BTech subjects and what was my favorite subject and all. But if you are thorough with the basics of academics, that would be sufficient. They won't ask you anything much deeper.
For which college it was about the BTech?
It was for the new IIMs.
New IIMs.
Cap inter, yeah. In all other interviews, around work experience only.
Okay, and you also appeared for the SP Jain's interview, right? You also
Yes.
converted that call. So
Yes, ma'am.
how was that different from the IIMs that you appeared?
Okay. Maybe in case of SP Jain, the person who was taking my interview, he was also from the operations management. That is what I could sense, because most of the questions were around operations management only. Uh, I think at least 70% of my interview was around operations management. How you have managed? They asked me the real life incidents which I have faced in my work experience, and then they asked me how I have tackled with it. And apart from that, they asked me something around statistics and some basic statistics and all. So even that interview was mostly around work experience and operations management.
Okay. You appeared for various kind of interviews. Many of the calls you converted, and a few of them I remember that you didn't. Very few number.
Only B, ma'am.
Only just one. Yes. So the one thing that I want to ask you, and the students actually wanted to ask you this, that when you appeared for their VAT, so what do you think were the parameters on which they were judging you? So, like, how do you write a VAT, or when we hear, or what we learn in the various courses, like people are in various courses with the various mentors, and I'm sure everyone is doing their best when it comes to the VAT. But as a student, what you felt, that what are the parameters on which they are judging you?
From what I could sense out of it, basically, no matter what is the VAT topic, at least in both my VATs, it was more around your opinion in one case, and the second one with IIM A was around my general knowledge and the knowledge around GDP, because they gave me a picture wherein there was one farmer, and there were some other rich people. So by looking at it, I got a sense farmers are becoming poorer, and the business people getting richer. That is what I could sense. So basically, I started around how much was the GDP percentage of agriculture initially, and how many people were in agriculture initially, and how it has drastically got reduced, and corporates are becoming richer. So that is some general knowledge where I was even able to put some numbers about GDP percentage of agriculture and what is the GDP percentage of manufacturing sector and service sector. So I started my argument by introducing the topic, like maybe kind of a problem statement, and in the body of complete essay, I tried to discuss what are the pros and cons of whatever is going on, and the third part is the conclusion. So in my opinion, at least they would see how you are able to be consistent throughout. Like your problem statement should not head in one direction, and then it should not be a case wherein you are actually contradicting what you have started with, like your introduction. So that is something which I have focused on. And in case of IMB, it was around like people be participated in public discussion, government decision making or policy making. So even in that case, my stand was yes, and everything I wrote was around that. Why I feel, uh, you know, why I feel that people should be participated. Like I gave the example of the typical Telangana state, wherein people have protested and they got their separate states. So I tried to give examples in the body, but then I started with yes, and in the conclusion, I tried to, you know, take some reference from the body, and I tried to ensure my conclusion was in line with the introduction which I give. So these are the few things which I have taken care.
That's great. Okay, and everything that you experienced last year was online, all the interviews. So most probably this year as well, we are going to, basically the students are going to experience the online interviews and the online processes for their GDPI rounds as well. So any tip regarding that, particularly online, for the online format?
Yes, ma'am. Actually, something around logistics. Uh, just try to ensure that you have stable internet connection. That is the first and foremost thing. And the second thing is, just try to ensure that like like in the camera, you are able to see me completely. Like you are able to see my dress, and you are able to send my body language as well. So maybe you should try to ensure interviewer is able to see you clearly. So that is the second thing. And at the interview, just try to confirm with the interviewer whether you are visible and they are clearly able to hear you. So maybe these checks which you need to ensure. Other than this, everything else will be similar to offline mode. Nothing new, ma'am.
And you did not experience any group discussion or group exercises in the interviews that, in the processes that you went through last year?
No, ma'am. I was not part of any group discussion.
It was only the VAT and the PI. There was no new round or nothing else as well.
No, ma'am. No.
Right. Okay. So I think I am done with major of the questions. I also asked the students to ask you, and these were some of the questions that I received. So any last tip that you want to leave for the students who are preparing for their GDPI this year?
Okay. Ma'am, one tip would be, they should treat this as something, to build their confidence. Like, even if they might have got 90 percentile or, something which is just enough to clear the cutoff for most of the IIMs. But then once you get one IIM, you have a equal chance of, converting the call. So I think they should treat it very seriously, and it's important to take a break. Like you can take a break of one day during your preparation so that you can come back again with the full energy. That is one thing I would suggest. And try to read newspapers, and if you are someone like me who don't enjoy reading papers, then try to watch some news channels wherein you will actually be able to be updated with current affairs. Yeah, ma'am. Apart from this, I wish them all the best. Try to be confident in your interview. That is very important.
Confidence is the key.
Yes, ma'am.
And it is the key for a long time, and it will be a key in the future as well. That is for sure.
And don't forget your mentors are with, especially in case of EBA, I could confidently say mentors play a very big role. So just talk to your mentor, whatever you feel. That is one other thing, especially for EBA students.
Yeah, that is there. So they can ask us everything for sure. And we're there to help them. And thank you so much for joining, Raghavendra. I know you have a really hectic schedule there with all your academics, your committee meetings, and various things that I am really not sure about the MBA curriculum. But thank you for taking out this time and joining me for this particular interview. I'm really happy, and I'm really sure that this is going to help a lot of students. So
thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hi everyone, thank you for watching this video, and as you know that IIM Ahmedabad calls are out.
So if you're looking for a GDPI course, the details are on your screen. So everything and anything that is required for your GDPI preparation, we cover it in our course. And as you can see on the screen, there is no cap on the CD, GE, personal interviews or the VAT that we conduct in our program as a part of our GDPI training. So if you want to join the program, you can always call or the WhatsApp at the given number, or just get in touch in the comment section. And if you really like the video, you please like, comment and share it with your friends if you think that is going to help them. And soon we'll be covering a lot of other colleges, a lot of other journeys as well. So please stay tuned. Thank you for watching once again.